Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vraja Janaranjana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Gunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gokulananda Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Nitai Gora Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, we are reading today from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 4, verse 30. Asmal lokad uparate. Asmal lokad uparate. Mayi gnanam madashrayam. Mayi gnanam madashrayam. Arhati uddhava evadha. Arhadyuddhava evadha. Samprati atmavatam varaha. Sampratyatmavatam varaha. Asmalokadu parate. Asmalokadu parate. Mayi gnanam madashrayam. Mayi gnanam madashrayam. Arhatyuddhava evadha. Arhatyuddhava evadha. Sampratatmavatam-varaha. Sampratyatmavatam-varaha. Kadu parate. Bharate Atmavatam varaha. Lokadu parate. Mayi gnanam madashrayam. Evadha. Matajis? Asmalokadu bharate. Mayi gnanam madashrayam. Arhatyuddhava evadha. Sampratyatmavatam varaha. Kadu parate. Mayi gnanam madashraya. Okay, we'll do the word for word. Asmat, from this universe. Lokat, earth. Uparate, having disappeared. Mayi, of myself. Gnanam, knowledge. Mat ashrayam, concerning myself. Arhati, deserves. Uddhavaha, Uddhava. Eva, certainly. Adha, directly. Samprati, at the present moment. Atmavatam, of the devotees. Varaha, foremost. Translation, repeat after me. Now I shall leave the vision of this mundane world. And I see that Uddhava, the foremost of my devotees, is the only one who can be directly entrusted with knowledge about me. Now I shall leave the vision of this mundane world, and I see that Uddhava, the foremost of my devotees, is the only one who can be directly entrusted with knowledge about me. Purport given by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jnanam Mad Ashrayam is significant in this verse. Transcendental knowledge has three departmental divisions, namely knowledge of impersonal Brahman, knowledge of the all-pervading Supersoul, and knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Out of the three, transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead has special significance, and it's known as Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana, specific knowledge of the personality of Godhead. This specific knowledge is realized by pure devotional service and no other means. Bhagavad Gita 1855 confirms this. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yashashmi tatvataha. Only persons engaged in devotional service can factually know the transcendental position of the Lord. Uddhava was considered to be the best amongst all devotees of the time, and therefore he was directly instructed by the Lord's grace, so that people might take advantage of Uddhava's knowledge after the disappearance of the Lord from the vision of the world. This is one of the reasons why Uddhava was advised to go to Badrikashram, where the Lord is personally represented by the Nara Narayan deity. One who is transcendentally advanced can gain direct inspiration from the temple deity, and thus a devotee of the Lord always takes shelter of a recognized temple of the Lord in order to make tangible advancement in transcendental knowledge by the grace of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantigam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnanebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Asma lokado parate mayi gnana madashrayam arhat yuddhava evadha samprat atmavatam varaha. Now I shall leave the vision of this mundane world, and I see that Uddhava, the foremost of my devotees, is the only one who can be directly entrusted with knowledge about me. So I just want to firstly take the blessings of all the devotees who are assembled here on site, and also those who are watching online, especially the senior devotees amongst us as well. Also, it's a very, very auspicious day today. I'll try to see if I can say some words in regards to that, but today is, it's the first and foremost, it's the Hanuman Jayanti. It's the appearance day of Sri Hanuman. Sri Hanuman Ji Ki Jai. So we'll try to see if we can weave in a little bit of Hanuman in the session itself, the class. And it's also, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the appearance. I think it's the appearance day of Shyamananda Pandit. Jai. Srila Shamananda Pandit ki. Jai. And also for us at the Bhaktivedanta Manor, it's the 20th year installation of our dear beloved Vrinda Devi deities as well. So Srimati Vrinda Devi Tulsi Maharani ki. Jai. Wonderful. So we can also seek the blessings of them on this auspicious day, and as we try to say something. So we can see in this chapter, especially in this section now, in these few verses, that Krishna is preparing to now unmanifest himself from the world, and it is a very, very sad thing in one sense for the devotees. For Krishna to, especially when Krishna has been on earth and has been giving his association and giving so much nectar and guidance and setting examples for all of his devotees, it's for him to then go out of their purview. It's such a tragic thing, but there's reasons why Krishna does that as well. So one of the things actually is mentioned, so this is from Canto 11, chapter 31, verse 13. It says in the purport, in the first few lines of the purport, it says, Krishna doesn't want to loiter here unnecessarily, right? He doesn't want to loiter. Loiter means, just hang about unnecessarily in a place, right? Krishna doesn't want to loiter here unnecessarily, and he doesn't want to give this place any unnecessary prestige, right? Because the thing is, right, wherever Krishna is, naturally Krishna will give value to that place, right? If there's a valuable person, then you want to go there. Why are dhams so precious? Because we have such great exalted personalities coming to the dhams. The Lord resides in the dham. The lordships resides in the dhams. The representatives of the lordships live in the dham. So that's what gives it value. So Krishna deliberately comes, does his pastimes, and then he leaves. He doesn't hang about, because he knows that if he hangs about, he's giving unnecessary value to a place where he doesn't want his people to be here. Okay? His mood is that you've come here. Now, really, we have one mission, right, in this world, and that is to, especially in the human form of life, right, because after many, many births and probably a lot of pious activities, you get this human form of life. And the whole point is that you get this birth, and the main objective of this human form of life is to develop love for Krishna, right? That is the main focus. That is the main goal which Krishna consciousness gives us, right? So he doesn't want to give us. That's why we see also Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. He said it in a bit more explicit way. He said that you should see this world is like a bathroom. You come here, you do your business, and then you get out, right? It's like when you go to a bathroom and you do your business, you don't hang around there. You don't ponder on the business that you've done, or think about what you've just done. You do it, and then you come out. So simply, for us, it's the same thing. We are here to do our business, do our dharma, but the main thing is also focus on coming out of here and then going back to Krishna. So that's why Krishna actually decided to do this. He wanted to make us realize that you're not going to get any pleasure here. The real enjoyment is actually with him. In fact, on Sunday we were discussing Ram Navami. We had a talk show because it was the Ram Navami festival. And if you look at even Lord Ram's name, it comes from this beautiful verse. Ramante yogininante satyanande chidatmani iti rama padena so param brahma bhidhiyate. That this name of Lord Ram, it's the reservoir of all pleasure. And all the transcendentalists that seek this pleasure, that get into the eternal existence, they experience this unlimited pleasure unlimitedly themselves. So that is the aim that we want to get into. And this is actually what the knowledge is teaching us. It's interesting because on Friday, when Bhajagovindam gave his class, he actually made a nice point that the Bhagavad Gita is a demonstration of Arjun's progressive vision to the point of having spiritual vision, right? He mentioned that this Bhagavad Gita is a progressive vision. You can see how the scriptures build us up to developing that progressive vision. Even when in the Bhagavad Gita, if you look at the beginning, Krishna is just progressing Arjun by telling him that, you are not the body, you're the soul, right? Dehino sminya tha dehe, komaram yuvanam jara. Then it goes on. And then for the big part of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is just telling Arjun to basically do your dharma now. What is your dharma? The different modes that people are in, the divine natures, the demonic natures, Sankhya Yoga, all these things and what our dharma should be. If you were to just take the middle part of the Bhagavad Gita, which I think a lot of people do actually, right? You'd think that, okay, yeah, I don't need to worry about spirituality, karmani vediki raste ma fele shukadachin. I just do my duty. That's what's needed. A lot of, especially, people coming from Indian backgrounds, they say that, beta, why are you going into this Krishna consciousness? Just go there, it's a mandir. You go there, it's just for weddings and funerals. Maybe you go there on a weekend, you bow down, make a donation, take a sweet. That's it. You don't need to go beyond that, right? So, but, we understand that, no, there is more than that, And often a lot of the parents will then quote that verse, the Garmani Vedika Raste. Not that my parents did that with me, but I know a lot of parents do that. So, but then you have to actually look at what the Gita is saying. At the end of the Gita, Krishna then says to Arjun, what does Krishna says to Arjun at the end of the Gita? Famous verse. Sarva dharman parityaja mamyakam sharanam vraja, right? Give up all your duties, give up all your dharma, and come to me. So there's two sides. One is that if someone just picks up the Gita and just reads the end of the Gita, they'll think, okay, so that means I can just give up everything and just focus, join the ashram or something, right? But actually that might not be the right thing for them to do straight away. Or someone looks at the middle part of the Gita and thinks, okay, I don't need to worry about spirituality, I just do my duty. But no, the Krishna is progressing us from one point to another. Even if you look at the Gita itself, you can see that when Krishna spoke the Gita, I will tie it in with this verse, by the way, in case you're wondering why am I speaking about the Gita. But when Krishna is speaking the Gita to Arjun in the war, like just before the war, what was the action? What was the immediate take-home point that Arjun took from that? The call to action from listening to Gita by Krishna. Huh? Fight. That's it. He fought, right? He took up arms and he fought. Interesting enough, once the war finished and Arjuna is reflecting on what happened, it's mentioned he actually started to recall what Krishna was telling him in the Gita, in that conversation. The same Gita that made Arjuna want to fight the war, right? That inspired Arjuna to fight the war. Arjuna then recalled the same conversation, and then he had a complete different realization from it. His mood was now, I must let go, I must renounce. Same book, same conversation, but at one point, based on where he's at, it was basically the need was to fight, do his dharma under Krishna's shelter. Whereas the same conversation later on, based on where he's at, based on his evolution in his own vision, was basically telling him, now I must renounce. And eventually, as we know, the Pandavas did actually renounce the kingdom. They passed it on to, Parikshit Maharaj, right? Arjun's great grandson. Not great-grandson, grandson, right? Yeah, grandson, yeah. So, like that, we can see that there is a progressive vision. And ultimately, there is the need for us to then eventually come out of the material world. And Krishna himself is actually demonstrating that. It's interesting as well, Prabhupada talks about in the purport as well, that there is, like different types of understandings of spirituality that are given. You've got obviously Brahman, knowledge of the impersonal. You've got Paramatma, knowledge of the supersoul. And of course, you've got knowledge of the personality of Godhead. And obviously for us, it's very important, and as Prabhupada keeps emphasizing again and again, that for us, the main thing is to attain the personal understanding of the personality of Godhead, which is why even every day we recite this verse, right? Nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya shatarine. So Nirvishesha shunyavadi, basically, Prabhupada is giving us a mandate. We need to work towards changing and destroying these impersonalistic conceptions that are pervading in society. If you remember, back in the day, there was a disciple, I believe it was Kirtananda Maharaj, who actually says to Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, you keep going on about impersonalism, we shouldn't be impersonalists, this and that. Like, you know, because when we think initially, when Prabhupada talks about, you know, the impersonalist philosophy, we think about some Mayavad sannyasi, like, at least that was the, you know, impression I got, some Mayavad person, you know, in, you know, giving some sort of talk about the Brahman. But then Prabhupada says, actually, no, we are all impersonalists. You are impersonalist yourself. And if you actually look at the society right now, if you look at most of the spiritual traditions right now in the world, I'm not including like Krishna consciousness, but most of them, they veer towards impersonalistic philosophy. But it doesn't just end there. If you look at most of the education system in the world, if you look at the curriculum and the syllabuses of what they're teaching in primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, universities, it is mainly impersonalistic philosophy. Like, for example, even if you look at science, it is very impersonalistic in nature. It's not personalistic, whereas before, science, Vedically speaking, would be very personalistic. There was an acknowledgement that it's coming from a person. But if you look at now, most of it is very impersonalistic. Obviously, you know, they talk about the Big Bang and everything came from just chemicals and all that kind of stuff. So the impersonate tendency is very deeply rooted. So when it talks about Nirvishya Shunyavadi, it's quite a big task that you know, devotees have got in front of them, because it's not just defeating or, you know, a few Mayavad philosophies. It's actually penetrating the whole education system of the different countries of the world. So there's a lot of work to be done in front of us, you know. I'm sure there'll be, Krishna will send qualified people to do it as well. And it's very important that we actually understand this, because if we do not go beyond the impersonal and actually experience that personal relationship, we are denying ourselves what is actually the right of us as souls. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that those who deny their rights of the soul, they are atmaha, they are killers of the soul, right? They are killers of the soul. They are actually doing a disservice to the soul. And if you go down the impersonalistic route, eventually you'll become more and more bound in the material conception, where you may end up just becoming asuric. Again, we may have been asuras in the past, and now after a lot of pious births, we've come to a human being. So this is a golden opportunity. If we now then come out of this birth and then go down the impersonalistic route and then end up thinking that we are gods ourselves, then you know what? We might just end up becoming asuras, birth after birth after birth. So we have to be very, very careful about this. Okay? Yes. One of the other things that Prabhupada also mentions here is Krishna entrusts his knowledge with someone before he leaves. Every time Krishna leaves this world, in whatever incarnation he comes in, he always entrusts the knowledge, right? And so in this case, he has chosen Uddhava, foremost of his devotees, to actually pass on the knowledge and the teachings of the Lord as Krishna leaves. And this is why, and Prabhupada actually goes on to saying, this is very interesting, one who is transcendently advanced can gain direct inspiration from the temple deity, and thus a devotee of the Lord always takes shelter of a recognized temple of the Lord in order to make tangible advancement. Now this is very interesting, because you know we talk about the philosophy, we cannot ignore the value of a temple and the value of the deities. I was thinking actually, you know, nowadays Krishna consciousness is expanding and developing in so many wonderful ways, you know. Like even within our yatra here, like in the London area, we've got like, you know, a lot of these online forums for Krishna consciousness. We've got preaching centers developing in central London. We've got like Mantra Lounge, we've got Studio 108, we've got Om Nom, we've got Kirtan parties developing everywhere now. And it's amazing things. But I remember one Prabhupada disciple actually said to me about last year that these preaching centers are very good, and we should proliferate more preaching centers, or whatever you want to call them, spiritual centers. I know preaching is not a nice, people don't like the word preaching, but, like spiritual centers. But it should not be at the cost of temples, dhams, with deities, like proper installed deities, with the Pran Pratishta, all the stuff like we just had in, the Ayodhya temple, right? That was done with the whole Pran Pratishta. This is very, very important because they serve as a focal point for actually us to anchor our devotion in. It's good that you go to a center and, make friends and things like that, but one should never underestimate the power of the deities and what they can do for us as well. And I know, especially in the Western culture, the Western mind, it might be a little bit more work. Because in one sense, especially in the West, see, in a place like India, to develop temples and stuff, it's okay, the culture's there, they're easy going to take to it. We just saw that now, Ayodhya temple got consecrated, millions and millions of people are going there now, to the point where the government's telling them, don't come just yet, it's too much, pace yourself, right? But when it comes to the West, it's a different ballgame. Because there's a whole tradition of what is called iconoclasm. Iconoclasm means you're against icons. You're against deities and things like that. It does mean there's a bit more work on our side to then tap into the Western mind and make them understand the value of deities. But 100% it is essential. And if it means we have to do a bit more work on that, no problem. So we should have preaching centers, but at the same time, they should never come at the cost of temple development as well, and temple development for the future, especially in the West. Because, we don't want to get to the point where there's a tendency where everyone's just, okay, let's just build a center, but no one's thinking about the actual temple. Prabhupada gave us this as part of our program as well. At the same time, we also have to understand when we consecrate deities and have them in the temple, there's a saying, use it or lose it, right? You have a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So in the same way, it means that we also have to then develop that relationship with the deities. I was thinking about the Ayodhya temple. It was a very interesting thing. I was looking at the history of the Ayodhya temple, and this temple was actually being worshipped all the way back in 1500s. And then at least it was there. I don't know how well it was being worshipped, but it was there. Then what happened was, 1530 or whatever it was, 28, Babur, the Mughal Muslim conqueror, he came in and ransacked the temple, and obviously that's when all the drama happened, right, over the years, with the cases and the fights and everything like that. But here's interesting though, having deities is one thing, but we must make sure that we make it a duty of us for ourselves, that especially if we're living near a temple, we make it a point to then have a very, very regular relationship and correspondence with those deities. Not that, we just live, near the temple, but just do our own thing in our own houses all the time. I mean, if I may, without embarrassing, I see Pramanava Prabhu. I've been seeing since I joined ISKCON, Prabhuji lives local. I've seen him regularly coming here week in, week out, maintaining his relationship with the deities. That is a really good example, actually, of someone who's maintaining that regularity, developing his relationship with the deities. If we don't do that, then what happens? We lose it. There's one thing, for example, these temples that have been ransacked in the past. Okay, not good. Maybe there's some karmic thing there. But the karma is not just their karma, their bad karma, that they became so bad that they invaded us, but also maybe our karma. Maybe we didn't treasure our deities and temples properly for them to then do what they did. Jai Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki. Yeah. So, yes, we have to treasure the temples, we have to treasure the deities, which is why, if I'm going to turn to now the example of Shri Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as you all know, he was a grihastha initially, and then for the first half of his life, he was a grihastha until the age of 24. And then from the 24 onwards, he became a sannyas. Does anyone here know where he made his base as when he became a sannyas? Yes, Panchatattva Prabhu? Jagannath Puri, that's right. He chose Jagannath Puri. He was setting the example for us of what we should be doing, developing a relationship with the temple, as Prabhupada mentions here, which all advanced devotees do, including Uddhava, right? Mahaprabhu, that was his mission. Ei mata bhakti bhav kari angikar, apani charite bhakti korile prachar. I'm coming, ei mata bhakti bhav, I'm coming in the bhava of a bhakta, right? Kari angikar, apani charite bhakti korile prachar. Through my charita, through my character, I'm going to do the prachar. Okay? He's actually showing this. And he specifically chose Jagannath Puri to demonstrate to us the value of the deities, the value of the temple. We know that Jagannath is who? He is Krishna. What kind of mood is he in? I don't know if we've got time to go through the Jagannath pastime, but does anyone know what is the mood of Lord Jagannath? Yes, David Prabhu. Yes, he is, of course, a manifestation of mercy. But in terms of the relational aspect, yes, Andrew Prabhu. That's right, he's Krishna in the form of ecstasy in separation of Radharani, right? We know that he was hearing, when he was in Dwarka, he was hearing the narrations that Rohini was giving to the queens of Dwarka about Krishna and the gopis, because they were perturbed. Why is Krishna then saying gopi, gopi, gopi in his sleep? And the queens wanted to know more about it, right? So then Rohini was narrating the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis, and when Krishna came in front of the door, he could hear that. Obviously Subhadra was already there, Balaram was already there. They couldn't even go in. Just hearing that put them into ecstasy. Krishna himself then got into ecstasy. That's why you see Jagannath's form with these big dilated pupils, because when you have ecstasy, your eyes go big and round, right? And then your limbs get stunted inside and things like that. All these amazing pastimes. And, you know, so that was the ecstasy of separation. He was pining to get back to being with his gopis, with Radharani again. Then what happens? So then now let's look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What's his mood? Jagannath is Krishna in the ecstasy of separation from Radharani. So similarly, what is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood, if you were to use the similar example here? Yes, Pranava Prabhu. Yes, he's Radharani in ecstasy. He's in the mood of Radharani, in the ecstasy of separation from Krishna. So that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes face to face with Lord Jagannath, it's basically Krishna in separation of Radharani and the Vrajbasis, right? With Radharani in separation of Krishna. So when there is coming together, there is an explosion of separation bhav. It's like, you know, one Vipalamba bhav with a Napa Vipalamba bhav, and it's just so much Vipalamba bhav, which is just going out of this world, and that's why then everything is just like, you know, like this kind of mad, like crazy, like, you know, like ocean of ecstasy that they're in. So that is what Mahaprabhu is teaching us by going to Jagannath Puri, and this is something that we can also experience as we go deeper in the holy names as well. Okay. In fact, not only that, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even went to Jagannath Puri, he wanted to even instill the value of these deities on the way, and showing to us that these deities are not just stone or brass or metal or wood, but they are living manifestations of the Lord's potency, the Lord's loving potency that we can have a relationship with. That's why even on the way, he started to talk about pastimes of Shakshi Gopal. This Janmashtami time, there's going to be a drama on Shakshi Gopal. I'd recommend you all to watch it. A little plug there, right? He talked about Shakshi Gopal, how Shakshi Gopal, the deity, came off the altar to actually help his devotees when his devotee was getting harassed. He talked about Kirchor Gopinath, Madhavendra Puri, right? The Param Guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Guru of Ishwara Puri, right? And how he had his reciprocations with the Gopal deity. So we can see how these deities, if we go deep enough in our bhakti, we can also have real amazing reciprocations with the deities as well. At the moment, yes, right now, we're not really taking darshan of the deities are taking darshan of us. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that. But as we go deeper, the Lord will manifest his mercy so that we can then take darshan of the deities as well. So we talked about Jagannath Puri, we talked about the Lord Jagannath deities. I want to now seg into Lord Jagannath and his loving interactions with none other than our dear Hanumanji. Because today, of course, is Hanuman Jayanti. Now, I'm not going to talk about the background of Hanuman and his, how he, came about, because this evening, Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Prabhu is going to be doing a talk on Hanuman anyway. So, you get to know about his life story. But I just want to talk a little bit. As most of you know, Hanuman is one of the foremost devotees of Lord Ram. And but what many people might not know is that there are actually many deities, there are many leelas that Hanuman has with Lord Jagannath in Puri as well. Now, because of time's sake, I'm only going to mention two. There's a beautiful temple, actually within the, let's go back. Within the Jagannath Puri complex, I don't know who's been to Jagannath Puri here. Some of you have. You'll notice that aside from the main Jagannath deities, there are different pockets of altars, arranged around the whole complex, right? It's not apart from the main temple itself. And you'll notice there are some Hanuman deities there as well. So in the south gate of the Jagannath Puri complex, there is a temple called the Ganapatta Hanumanji temple. So Gan in Sanskrit means ear. So it's said that when the ocean was getting churned, the Samudra Manthan pastime, right? When the ocean was getting churned, the churning ocean pastime, from the ocean, when the demons and the demigods were churning the ocean, and then lots of different things were coming out the ocean, Lakshmi Ji came out. And then obviously Lakshmi Ji, so therefore because she came out of the ocean, she was considered also to be seen as the daughter of Samudra. Samudra means the ocean. She got married to Vishnu, which means that Lord Jagannath, because Lord Jagannath is Lord Vishnu. And then when they got married, therefore, because that made Samudra Lord Jagannath's father-in-law. So then as a father-in-law, he wants to be near his daughter-in-law. So therefore, Lord Jagannath, this is there's always reasons why a temple is located where it is. There's multiple reasons. So one of the reasons is Lord Jagannath, and he had his temple in the Puri because it's right near the ocean, right? So that at least the father-in-law can be near Lord Jagannath and his daughter-in-law. Now, obviously, as you know, the ocean can make a lot of noise, especially in that area. I don't know if for those of you who've been to the ocean, especially in the Puri Ocean, it's very it's quite energetic, right? There's a lot of waves coming and things like that. Some of the waves they're bigger than you, they can really sweep you away. So the ocean would make a lot of noise. So then what happened was Lord Jagannath called upon Hanuman to come and say, Hanuman, can you just keep an eye on the temple and make sure that, Samudra doesn't make so much noise coming into the temple. And so the Samudra, but then what happens is that Samudra's still making a lot of noise. So then Jagannath decided to move his temple a little bit inland. So it's not as right next to the ocean. So it's a bit inside. So if you've been to Jagannath Puri, you'll notice that it's not exactly on the beach. You have to go just a little bit inside and it's there. Enough for you to see the ocean, of course. And from that point onwards, and what happened, there was one time when the Samudra sound went into the temple. So then Hanuman was tasked with telling Samudra that, no, you can't make sounds inside the temple. So from that point onwards, Samudra decided, okay, I have to listen to the Lord and his Bhakta. I'll not make noise. So even to this day, when you go to Jagannath Puri, you will hear the sound of the ocean wherever you go. If you stay in a lodge, in a hotel, anywhere near the coast of the ocean, you will hear the ocean. But as soon as you enter the Jagannath Puri temple, you don't hear the sound of the ocean there. And so there's actually a deity of Hanuman with his ears like this. So Gan with his ear out to make sure no sound is coming in. So that's actually located in the south gate of the Jagannath Puri temple. Then, on the north gate, there's also another form of Jagannath called the Chari Chakra Hanumanji temple. Chari Chakra Hanuman deity. So, as you know, Lord Vishnu, he has his chakra, the Sudarshan chakra. So this Sudarshan chakra was one day getting very proud that, you know what, I'm the closest to my Lord. In fact, not only am I closest, because I'm always on my Lord's finger, right? The chakra. So he said that I'm always close to my Lord. In fact, I'm protecting my Lord. I'm the one who's actually, because of me, my Lord is always saved. So, that's why we have to be careful when we're close to like exalted personalities. We don't let the pride come in. We can see that Sudarshan chakra is getting a little proud here. Anyway, meanwhile, Hanuman, he was doing tapasya. He was doing his austerities in his place, in his abode somewhere. I'm not sure, maybe it was Kishkinda or somewhere. But anyway, so one day, Vishnu, or Jagannath, should I say Lord Jagannath, tells Sudarshan Chakra, I'm missing the association of my devotee Hanuman. Can you go and fetch him for me, please? So Sudarshan Chakra said, yes, sure. So he goes, travels to where Hanuman is, and says to Hanuman, Hanuman, the Lord Jagannath wants to see you. So Lord Jagannath, Hanumanji is really, really happy. He's ecstatic. He's like, brilliant. I'm going to go and see my lordship. So he goes on his way. As he goes, Sudarshan Chakra, obviously, because, he flies, right? Because he's a chakra. He flies and reaches the temple, Jagannath Puri temple, early, before him. And what he does, he circles the temple and blocks Hanuman from coming in. Even though he was tasked with inviting him, it was almost like he wanted to just show his power that, I know I asked you to come, but look, just see my power. I can now block you from coming if I want to, right? So then Lord Jagannath himself heard about this, and he wasn't very happy with this. So then he cursed Sudarshan. He cursed him, saying that, you know what? I'm not very happy that he did. So no, he did two things. Number one, he gave Hanuman Sadbhuj form. So he gave him a 6-armed form. Of those 6 arms, 4 arms had chakras on them. So now you've got Sudarshan Chakra, 1 chakra against Hanuman coming in with 4 chakras. Sudarshan Chakra has no chance. He has to step aside, and then Hanuman comes in. That's why his name is Chari Chakra, right? Means the 4 chakra Hanuman. He comes in, and the 2 other arms are engaged in praying and chanting the Lord's names. So like that, Chari Chakra Hanuman comes into the Jagannath Puri temple. Meanwhile, Lord Jagannath, he curses Sudarshan Chakra that in my next Leela, you are not going to come as Chakra because you're too proud. I'm going to make you into a column. I'm just going to make you into a column in the Jagannath Puri temple. Sudarshan Chakra got really repentant. He got really upset, and he was thinking, oh my God, I can't believe that, you made me, this has made me into a column. I'm just going to stand there all day long, because that's what columns do. They just stand in one place, right? So then he says, please, this curse is too heavy. Can you please help me? So then Lord Jagannath, because he's so merciful, he says, okay, fine. He says, okay, you'll be the column. Hanuman will be there as well, overseeing this temple. But also, I will position you on the top of my dome. So that way, you'll be able to survey everyone that's coming into the temple. So that's why to this day, I don't know if you noticed, there's a chakra on top of the Jagannath Puri temple. It's famous, everyone sees it, right? So that's how Sudarshan Chakra got positioned there. And that's how Chari Chakra Hanuman is there as well in the Jagannath Puri temple. Pavanaputra Bajrangbali Vayusuta Hanuman Ji Ki Jai. Okay, I'll come to question. I'll just mention one more point here. 2 more minutes. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having his pastimes at Jagannath Puri, he had a very, very dear devotee there called Gauridas Pandit. Gauridas Pandit, as you know, you will know him. He's featured a lot in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Once Mahaprabhu was starting to manifest his pastimes in Gaur Leela, Gauridas Pandit decides to go to a place called Ambika Kulna. And on Ambika Kulna, he has a Gaur-Nitai deities. And it's said that these Gaur-Nitai deities are very, very similar to actual likeness of Gaur-Nitai. Like actually what they look like in real life. I mean, they are non-different, but you know what I mean? They actually look like Gaur-Nitai. So he would worship them. he also had a disciple called Chaitanya. And once they were having amazing kirtans, amazing kirtans. And in this kirtan, again, this just shows you the power of the deities. As they're doing kirtans in front of these Gaur-Nitai deities, another form of Gaur-Nitai expands themselves from the deities and then jumps down on the kirtan floor and starts to have kirtans with the deities. So imagine you've got Gaur-Nitai on the altar, another expansion of Gaur-Nitai jumps off the altar and starts to jump with, like, today you had the Guru Puja, and imagine you've got the devotees dancing and jumping here, and then Gaur-Nitai comes off the altar and jumps and does kirtans with the devotees on the floor. And then Gauridas Pandit is doing the arti at the time, and he's thinking, oh my God, this is going crazy. So then he gets a stick, it's a loving leela by the way, he gets a stick and starts chasing the two Gaur-Nitai boys around the kirtan floor. Whilst he's doing that, the two Gaur-Nitai deities are on the altar, they jump off the altar as well. So now there's basically two Gaurangas and two Nitais. 4 boys just running around going crazy on the kirtan floor, and he's chasing after them, and he's getting exasperated. Oh my God, this is crazy, this is not good. The whole arti is getting ruined and all that kind of stuff, right? And then what happened is that 2 of the Gaur-Nitai deities, and he doesn't even know which ones, jump back on the altar, resume their positions, and the other 2 Gaur-Nitai deities, they jump into the heart of Chaitanya, who is Gauridas Pandit's disciple. And because they jump into his heart, from that day onwards, he's known as Hriday Chaitanya. Actually, I correct myself. His name before was Hridayananda. Hridayananda, now he became Hriday Chaitanya. There was a boy from another village called Dukhi. He heard about this, and he got really developed loving feelings for this Hriday Chaitanya. And the more he got to know about Hriday Chaitanya's glories and pastimes and character, he wanted to actually eventually take shelter of him. So he then came to that temple, and he found Hriday Chaitanya, who is the disciple of Gauridas Pandit, and he submits himself in front of him and says, please, can I be your disciple? Very pure devotee. From a Sudra background as well. This shows you don't have to be a Brahmin, forget about caste system, doesn't matter, bhakti is for everyone, right? He became he was a pure devotee, submitted himself to Hriday Chaitanya, and from that point onwards, Hriday Chaitanya initiated him as Dukhi Krishna Das. He was known as Dukhi because he's known as the sorrowful one. Dukhi means sad, because his parents had many miscarriages. And so once they finally got him as their boy, they wanted to basically plead to Yamaraj that, look, we're calling him Dukhi, so remember the sorrow that you've caused us. So please don't take him away from us. But from that point onwards, he got known as Dukhi Krishna Das. This same Dukhi Krishna Das later got a further title as the great Shyamananda Pandit, one of the original Sankirtan book distributors in our age, with Narottam Das Thakur and Srinivas Acharya. So, Shri Jagannath Bhagavan ki, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra ki, Bajrangbali Pavanaputra Vayusuta Hanuman ji ki, Srila Shyamananda Pandit ki, Srimati Vindadevi Tulsi Maharani ki. Jai. Okay, so we've gone over time. If you want to go for breakfast, please do. Otherwise, if there's any questions, then yes. Karan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the class. In the purport, Prabhupada uses this term recognized temple. So I was just wondering what that means, because to me it just means if it's on Google Maps or not, but I feel like Prabhupada may be referring to something more.
A devotee of the Lord always takes shelter of a recognized temple, a temple that is authorized by the acharyas or their representatives as a place where the right teachings are being given, the right understanding, and the bhakti is there. Because unfortunately in this age, a lot of misrepresentation happens in the name of spirituality, in the name of religion. You might get, fake gurus, fake scriptures, fake lectures, and also fake lectures, meaning lectures that are not giving the right siddhanta, and also obviously temples which are then not geared towards giving people bhakti. The whole point of a temple is to give people bhakti and heal the mind and bring the mind closer to Krishna, right? To make the mind dhir, to heal the mind, mandir, to make the temple, to make the mind dhir and then bring that mind closer to Krishna's lotus feet. So any temple that's not doing that and is not bona fide and is not recognized as doing that or giving the right teachings, then one need not associate with those temples. Yeah. That's why Prabhupada is very emphatic that even when you go to dhams like Vrindavan and what have you, Prabhupada is very clear, especially with us lot, us devotees, just stick with what Prabhupada, just stick with what I've given you, you know. I've given you the dhams, I've given you the temples that I'm recommending you to go to, and also that he's got so many saintly disciples that we can take shelter of and, go with. Because unfortunately, there are a lot of people that have been misled, and also when you go to places like Vrindavan, there's a lot of mystics and things, and some of those, there are bhakti mystics, which is fine, devotional mystics, like the great acharyas, but there are also mystics that are indulging in, other things, shall we say, dark hearts. So therefore, Prabhupada protected us by going to the right temples and associating with the right people. Yeah. Yes, Andrew Babu?
My first question is, thank you for the class, by the way, Prabhu. How can we bring our stubborn Brahmavadi friends to the movement if they're kind of, they won't come to the temple, they don't, it's like we're friends. Sorry? Yeah. Tried everything and one friend might just not want to hear it. So is there any advice?
Yeah, really good question. Krishna, he's so merciful. That's why, he gives in the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita that, if you can't do direct devotional service, then at least, he gives like a breakdown. I can't remember the exact order, but if you can't do devotional service, then at least think about me. If you can't think about me, then at least render service to my devotees. If you can't render service to the devotees, then at least you can serve in some way. If you can't serve in some way, then at least do some sort of philanthropic works. If you can't even do that, then at least try and think of something good, he gives a whole breakdown, a hierarchy of things that a person can do that can eventually elevate them on the ladder. So I think when we meet people, and we can see that Prabhupada also mentions this, that there are certain people, you don't have to waste or invest so much time in them when you know that it's not gonna, you're better off investing your time with those people who are ripe to then bring them to Krishna. And then those who, let's say, are very fixed in the Brahmavadi, if you can't, let's say, talk to them about Krishna consciousness because you know that it's not, because there's a risk here. One, they're not going to listen to you. Or two, they might cause offense. So if that's the case, then at least you can give them some prasadam, because that will at least help them to purify their consciousness a little bit. And if they don't even accept prasadam, then at least, you know what, you can pray for them, So there's always a gradation of what you can do for them. But sometimes you have to acknowledge that some people, if their conditionings are so heavy in this life, it might not be the right time just yet for them to get onto the bhakti path. It might be later. But you can still do something by praying for them or giving them some prasadam to, just move them one step a step along. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. I have one more question. Is that okay? So, in the purport, it said that only through devotional service will Krishna reveal his form, if I remember correctly. So can devotional service, can just like purely reading come under devotional service?
Yeah, it depends on the level of focus that you have in delving into the scripture. So reading can be considered one of the 9 processes because it can come under what's it called? Shravanam, right? Hearing, yeah. It can come under Shravanam, but you have to be very, very good at it. Like Vyavasaitmika Buddhi, right? Focused. Most of us, when we read, we might not be so focused. That's why Prabhupada's mood was we should also really, especially in this age, take to the holy names. There are 9 processes, and all of them, if you do them, each one of them perfectly, any one of them, you can actually then get connected with Krishna. But for us, it's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. These are the 3 principal ones we should do in tandem. Because, in our age, we're not so good at doing any one of them perfectly. That we should do all of them together, sincerely, and then the Lord will give us the mercy to try and come to get to Him. Yeah. Yes, I think Srinivas Prabhu will make a comment.
You mentioned about this Dukhi Krishna Das.
Yeah.
Now in Lord Chaitanya's past, there was a Dukhi Krishna Das, and Lord Chaitanya called him Sukhi Krishna Das.
Okay.
So this one is different one you want to know.
Yeah, this is because Shyamananda Pandit, he came, he was born as Mahaprabhu left. Because the 3 Sankirtan book distributors, the main, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Pandit, Srinivas Acharya, they actually all came, they were the next generation after Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis. They're like the next generation of the main Vaishnava Acharyas. So yeah, they came after. In fact, a lot of them actually ended up getting taught by Mahaprabhu's disciples, like Jiva Goswami. He gave Srinivas Acharya a lot of shiksha. And in fact, Gopal Bhatta Goswami was like his guru. So they came after. Of the 3, Srinivas Acharya was the oldest. He was a relatively young man whilst Mahaprabhu was still around. But Shyamananda Pandit was barely born when Mahaprabhu left. Yeah. Okay, maybe last question. Panchatattva Prabhu.
Thanks, Prabhu. I just heard that today as well, according to Jiva Goswami, is the appearance day of Radhakund. I wonder if you knew anything about this, because usually we hear it's another time of the year.
Okay, I haven't come across that. No, I don't want to comment on that. I don't know if, yeah. I mean, Radhakund is the most exalted place in the universe. It's the liquid form of Radharani's love for Krishna. But I haven't heard that today's the date for Radhakund. I don't know if anyone else can confirm or deny that. Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole other discussion. Let's leave that for another day. Okay, thank you very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.